the Rey movie, which is apparently on hold now.
Oh no! Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
If you guys remember, so a while ago there were rumors that the Rey movie's been shelved, been canceled, and Lucasfilm came out and said, "Oh no, that's not the case. This isn't canceled. We're still moving forward. We still got plans for Rey. Rey is going to be the foundation upon which all future Star Wars is made." And then they come out very recently and say, "It's been put on hold. We're gonna shelve this thing temporarily, guys. This is just temporary." Yeah. But if you guys remember, they did the same thing with Obi-Wan, where basically they said, we have all the scripts ready to go. We're ready to go in production. Ewan McGregor's ready. His schedule's cleared. And then they're like, oh, we're going to put this on indefinite hiatus because we need to do some retooling with it. And that eventually actually did end up getting made, much to my chagrin, and I'm sure many others. But they've been making a big deal about Daisy Ridley's return as Rey in the Star Wars universe. And now it seems like there could be trouble in paradise with these plans. Now, Lucasfilm currently has 7 movies announced, but we don't know which one of those are actually going to be made or like actually moving forward or anything like that. The Rey one seemed to be the most likely to get made, but now it's not so clear. So I want to get my expert panel's takes on this. Let's start with you, Tom, since you have your nose to the grindstone and your ear to the rail on all things movie related. What's your take on this? Do you think Rey is actually going to get made, or New Jedi Order is actually going to get made, or is it going to go the way of so many other Star Wars movies that just get dumped?
I think it's somewhere between the Mandalorian film and Rian Johnson's trilogy. It's somewhere in there. It's in that space, that realm of existence. I think there's something to this. I think that this is on the verge of getting canceled. I think Daisy Ridley's recent lashing out at male Star Wars fans is a result of this.
Wait, what? I didn't hear about that.
You didn't hear about this? Yeah, no. She said that she can't help how some men view women when asked about negative reaction to her character, basically, in so many words. So it's like, okay, so you spent all these years ping-ponging away, cheap, easy questions like that, and now you've decided that you're going to join the hate train on the Disney side of things.
Wow.
So either that's the rhetoric they're feeding her to go with, or she's lashing out and blaming people, and I wonder if that is the reason. The reason being she's hearing that this movie's being delayed or canceled, and it's because there's no desire for it. I mean, look at the reaction it got. Right? Like, that's the biggest reaction anything Star Wars has gotten since Luke Skywalker came back, and it was negative. Like, they couldn't even muster that much of a positive reaction on the other end for the Mandalorian film. Right? Even that was met with mostly meh.
I would think that Disney and Marvel and any Disney employee actor for any movie, that they could just tell them, will you please just shut the fuck up with your social media and come in?
I think they're telling them to say this shit.
It's unreal to me with these people just keep putting their foots in their mouths and just sabotaging their career.
Look at Amandla and the way she acted. Look at what's her face from the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. It's like they're being pre-programmed for this. Yeah, Moses Ingram. It's like they're being pre-programmed for this crap. Daisy managed not to say any of this stuff for 5-6 years that she had done, all these movies. And now she's finally saying something like this, and it's going right along with the same rhetoric. It's like, come on.
I'm waiting for the articles now.
I think the only reason that this movie will happen, if it happens, is because of Bob Iger's legacy and because Kathleen Kennedy will stop at nothing to make it happen. Well, otherwise, I think it's DOA at this point.
I thought Kathleen Kennedy's big opus was supposed to be the Indiana Jones movie, and then she was out.
Well, we saw how that worked out.
Yeah, she doesn't want to leave on a failure, Matt.
So she's going to be there for forever. Is that what you're telling me?
Pretty much. That's what I've been saying since 2018. But I want to throw this to Odin because Odin, it's kind of interesting because, Lucasfilm obviously still wants to go forward with this, but this seemed to be a call from Disney, especially in the wake of the failure of The Acolyte in terms of like the ratings and how like female centric that was and so on and so forth. And I'm just wondering, what's your take on this? Do you think Disney is basically pumping the brakes on a lot of these Star Wars things that have to have a big focus on women? Because famously, this movie has a director who's like a rabid feminist. Didn't work out so well for the Acolyte and so on and so forth. Rey hasn't been resonating with the male audiences, which Kathleen Kennedy herself admitted still make up the majority of Star Wars fans. So what's your take?
It's so hard to say because the key factor here is Kathleen Kennedy, because we all know she has an enormously, insanely high level of power and influence to the point where she has still have a job at this point, when we know that anyone else in her position would have been fired a long time ago, like probably back when Solo happened, because that was a massive financial loss for them, and it's been loss after loss after loss ever since, especially with these horrid Disney Plus shows. So my guess is that Disney and the upper echelons of Disney financially, if they were actually to put on their financial brains for a second, would say, yeah, this should not be where we go with this. You've kind of seen hints at directions being changed at Marvel, but just like with everything with Disney, I'll believe it when I actually see it. They obviously have a lot of films and projects still left in the pipe that have to come out before their supposed change is going to be actually felt in any way. So again, we'll actually see if that ever happens. But I would much more likely believe that than any change ever happening with Lucasfilm, because there's now been any real indication that they are going to change. And with Kathleen Kennedy always being at the helm of this until she gets fired or chooses to retire or something else happens, and they don't put in or have to deal with someone that is of the same vein as her, none of this is going to change, and they're just going to continue to just piss away hundreds of millions of dollars on all of these things. And so if there's any problems going on, this is also, let's be honest, this is par for the course. This is exactly how every production that Lucasfilm has done has always gone. I don't think there's been a 100% smooth production that they have had under the reign of Kathleen Kennedy. And if they have, it's been a long time since that's actually happened, right? I mean, just look at what they did when they filmed the vast majority of Solo before firing the directors, hiring someone new, reshooting a bunch of stuff, ballooning the budget. And you're seeing this to some same degree also with Marvel now, because of what they're doing with Captain Falcon, spending ungodly amounts of money there too. So yeah, I don't think anything's going to change. So I think that, yes, this sounds like exactly where most of these projects fall, where there's problems with them. But eventually, if she is able to, Kathleen Kennedy is going to will this film into existence.
So guys, by the way, all the articles that we talk about in the show are linked in the description if you guys want to do your own research. But I want to throw this to Mr. Random Film Talk right now, because there was a part of this article that really kind of stood out to me. And Random, I don't know if you know this, but the guy who is in charge of writing the screenplay for the new Jedi Order, the Rey movie, his name is Stephen Knight. He is the creator and main writer for Peaky Blinders. And he also created one of our favorite Apple TV shows, C, although he only, I think, wrote the pilot maybe for that one. But he's a very talented storyteller. And he's been working on the script for well over a year now. But in this article, it basically says that a final draft of his script still hasn't been submitted to Lucasfilm. And he's in the middle of doing reshoots for his Peaky Blinders movie. And Kathleen Kennedy is continuously giving him notes on how to improve his script. And I thought that this was kind of interesting, because nowhere does it mention that the director of the movie, I forget her name, but she's not... doesn't seem to be giving him notes. All these notes seem to be coming from Kathleen. And we all know that basically Rey is a self-insert for Kathleen Kennedy in the Star Wars universe. So I just find it interesting that you have this very talented storyteller who's in charge of writing the screenplay, and Kathleen Kennedy keeps telling him, like, oh no, your script's not good enough. I want you to add this and change this. What's your take on it, Mr. Random?
So the comparison that I would want to make with that is with something, because I'm definitely going to be familiar with some of Stephen Knight's work, but I haven't actually seen Peaky Blinders. But Tony Gilroy, who did Andor, I don't know what you guys' consensus is on Andor, but I think it is probably the best thing to come out of Star Wars since 1983. And how it came out of Disney is a miracle. Like, how on earth did that happen? So I have no idea if Kathleen Kennedy and the various other higher-ups were sort of, whispering in the ear of Tony Gilroy, like, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you, change this? And whatever it might be. But because it really does seem like it has a coherent, singular vision behind it. And I'm kind of thinking maybe they just kind of let Andor or let Tony Gilroy do his thing with Andor because it's just, it's a show about a character that no one really knows. They weren't expecting it to be as good as it ended up being. And as far as I'm aware, it didn't perform particularly well in terms of streaming numbers. So yeah, it was expensive for them to make, but it won't have been the same kind of gamble that they're going to be making with the Rey movie. Because when they make this Rey movie, if it does ever actually happen, it is going to have a $250 million budget at a minimum. You add in advertising, that's $500 million. And the last time they did that was what was it even called? The final Rise of Skywalker, was it called?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah, last time they did it, it was that, and yeah, it made money, but it didn't make them anywhere near enough money. So, yeah, I mean, the concept of a Rey film is very confusing to me because like you've got Mandalorian as a film that I have questions with that, but I at least understand why you would do it.
We already got 3 Rey films.
Mhm.
Well, that's exactly. But like with the Mandalorian film, there is some way you can maybe go with the story. There are people who like the character. I'm not a huge fan, but like I understand why people like that character. Whereas with Rey, like some people who like the sequels, how many of them like it because of Rey?
3.
Like I'm 3.
The people who like the sequels like it because of Reylo, that whole
Oh, of course,
crazy thing. Yeah,
fair enough.
yeah.
Don't invoke that. Don't.
But I'll say this, Mr.
But that's
Random.
why they even made the show The Acolyte, though. You got to remember that. They're actually acknowledging that group now because that's all they have left.
Yeah, the shippers. Yeah.
They turned out in droves to watch that, didn't they? Yeah.
Yep. So
Well,
many
that
of them
shows you
showed
the
up that it got
audience.
canceled. Yeah. But when it comes to Andor, so like I believe I was the only one on this panel who was praising Andor when it was airing, because basically I was like, you have to watch 3 back to back in order to really get the full sense. It's basically like a movie trilogy, essentially that we got cut up into hour-long episodes and released over the course of a season, or half-hour episodes, I should say. But I really liked Andor, but I wouldn't say that it's the best Star Wars that we've gotten since Disney took over, in my opinion. But like Tony Gilroy, if you ever watched his movie with George Clooney called Michael Clayton, which he wrote and directed, Andor is basically just a Star Wars version of that movie, where it's very kind of like slow and character oriented, and it's about the small things that happen within a much bigger context. And so I'm going to say that of the Disney TV shows that we've gotten in terms of Star Wars, I think that Andor is probably the best made, but it's also very, very slow. The average normie who wants Star Wars isn't going to watch that and enjoy it because it takes too long. It takes too much of a commitment, takes too much effort to watch it. I loved how we got to see kind of like the daily on the ground in the life of the Empire type stuff. Like that to me was like addictive. I was like, yes, give me more of that. But it was very lacking on like the epic adventure and war that made Star Wars like, the phenomenon that it was, in my opinion.
Maybe I should go back and rewatch it in 1/3 of the time. Maybe I'll go back and do that here pretty soon.
Maybe you could actually binge it now. But Dutch, what do you think about the Rey movie being shelved? Do you think that it's ever going to come back? Will it pull a Kenobi? What's your thoughts?
I don't know, man. I have excised Star Wars out of my life so much lately that I really don't have much of a thought on it. I have no interest in ever seeing a Rey product of any kind ever again. She's just a character I don't care about. She's wasn't made for me. I have no interest in it, and the only thing I could think of to say is maybe it'll be fun to watch it get made so we can watch it burn again, like everything else that they do here lately, so we can have more stuff to talk about on Saturday mornings. I'm kind of upset with Daisy right now. If she's really out there lashing out and talking crap about men, because I don't have a problem personally with Rey or with Daisy. I think she's a solid actress, and she does what she does fairly well. So for her to go down that route is disappointing. I don't want to put her in the same category as Amanda Stenberg and all these other activist chicks. I don't want to do that. But if that's the road she's choosing, then fine. Star Wars in general is just something I'm over right now, and I don't really honestly care if they ever make a new Star Wars product again. And I never thought those words would come out of my mouth, but it's just how I feel. I've got better things to do with my life right now. So there you have it.
Yeah, I don't know, because I remember the post that Tom was referring to where Daisy talked about how it was like toxic men that didn't like her character. Mm-hmm. I didn't really read it as like she was attacking. I think she was just kind of repeating talking points that were given to her by Lucasfilm. But Tom
literally low-key calls us all misogynists if we don't like her character.
Yeah.
That's literally what she said. She said, I can't help the way men view some women or view women. That's basically calling somebody a misogynist, disregarding any and all logical reasons why you couldn't like Rey other than she's a fucking woman. That's what she's saying.
Well, I mean, she's not pulling a Brie Larson or an Amanda Stenberg or Steinberg. I forget how to pronounce her name.
Just because nobody's talking about it doesn't mean it's not true.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not true, but she's not like aggressively attacking male fans. I think that she was just repeating some type of talking point that Lucasfilm gave her.
Why are you sticking up for her?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Not sticking up for her. It's just
sticking up for her,
very
man.
different.